So maybe I'll quickly give you guys a brief. What we have today is a documentary screening on Dr. William Odongo Omamo. Dr. William Odongo Omamo was my father. He passed on in 2010. He was a politician in Kenya and an academician as well prior to that. So the documentary journeys us through his life from when he was born all the way through his life in politics, his life in academia. So you're the second people to watch this documentary. It's only been screened once before in an exclusive function. So this is the second exclusive viewing.
That they will be able to realize big results, Kaliech results.
I just want us to quickly go into a short session. Maybe comments, anyone would like to say anything about what they've watched so far.
What necessarily inspired you to sort of honor you for the film?
I got inspired. One time I picked up the manuscript because, you see, I got to read the manuscript initially when he passed on, but I was a bit young. So I didn't connect much with it. But then 7 years later, in 2017, when I read through, I grasped the topics inside there more. I felt that it was a duty for me to see to it that it was out.
If you were to share one thing, that the process of compiling the journey from 2017, for you to compile all this, to come up with a documentary and also make sure that the book is written and is published. What has this process taught you that you think you're able to share? Just one thing.
Patience, in timelines. I happened to be with the guy I worked with as an editor. Isaac helped me in editing the book. I had to be very patient with this man. and Fiona can attest, my wife Fiona is here, she can attest to the days when I'm trying to reach Isaac and he can't be reached for 4 days, 5 days, and we have deadlines to meet. So, but that's just in a light note. Isaac did a splendid job. We worked very well together. But then I also got to learn a lot about my father during this journey. Because when I released the book and I engaged people, I got to learn different things that he had done, because I've had very many speaking engagements and I've met people who he touched their lives in many ways. So it's been very fulfilling. So after doing the book, and I realized I had a lot of content that I could do a documentary with, I felt that it was also right to do the documentary.
The book available in our libraries so that we can be able to read it.
Okay. Yeah, so I would like to comment. The book is available in the USIU library. When I launched the book in December 2022, and I actually did it in this building at the rooftop, I donated 6 books to the USIU library. The 6 books were also symbolic for USIU, because my father had 3 of his children go through USIU and 3 of his grandchildren go through USIU. So 6 people, it was a bit of a legacy thing.
I'm curious about brilliant people playing the politics game. I think in various sections of the documentary, you can tell the push and pull, the game, essentially. And I think in one of the questions you've answered, you said he felt he will be more of an influence in joining, the political game. I wonder if you have any insight on what kept him going, what kept him coming back to Jaramogi, what kept him saying, I have no beef with Jaramogi. Can you comment on the gentlemanly nature of politics then and the nature of politics today?
Okay, it's a tough question. She went to Alliance. But it's a good question, good question. Well, if I compare the politics then and now, there are many things that have changed that essentially mean that the politicians would also change. Back then, I could say, like when he joined politics in 1969, all the way till 79, let me say the first 10 years, there was a time when politicians used to share a platform. Even when you'd have a rally, you'd have joint rallies. And so you would articulate your issues. Like in Bondo, they would have joint rallies, Ougo, Omamo, and all the others. And it's usually at the rally that you would beat your opponent. Because if you're an orator, you'd beat them just at that space. But of course, there were issues, like you've seen from the documentary, with Jaramogi. Jaramogi and Omamo were fundamentally different ideologically. Very different. Because Jaramogi was more of an outbound-looking MP when he served Bondo. Very similar to his son, Raila. When Raila was in Kibera, you've heard many people say that he didn't do much for Kibera. But no one will deny the amount of stuff that Raila has done for Kenya. The same thing goes to Jaramogi. When Jaramogi was MP for Bondo, he was the vice president of Kenya initially, and then he was someone who was always out there. So now when Omamo took over, there was a big, big difference. Harambes, all these political things. So from Thursday to the weekend, he would only be back in Nairobi on Tuesday in time for Parliament. So that caused a bit of a rift, because if you're a grassroots guy, because he was a grassroots guy engaging at home, it was so different from Jaramogi. But of course, he was skillful enough to maintain the rapport, because they were not really enemies. They were just different ideologically.
I've picked very many components, like a very rich history of agriculture in Nyanza, the cotton elements and things like that. So I think I'm just curious to know if you're ever considering having it in snippets where children can consume, so that we can preserve a very Kenyan conversation and also a very Pan-African conversation. I've learned so many things about Bondo that I would never have come across. Yeah.
Thanks for the suggestion. I would be happy to engage you further to help me understand exactly what you would like, and then I would see if I would be able to.
Yes, for example,
half the stories, that are being told and narrated, you could place them in modern day Kenya that fit, quite right there. So it's both beautiful but also sad to me, just to be able to see that. It's all just tying up. So it was interesting also just seeing Tom Boyer in the documentary, and just to see how the stories actually intertwine, because the story is bigger, and we just get to see like snippets here and there, but it's just good to just sort of like weave a thread through all of them and just tie it all together.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my question. So what next? You did the book, launched a couple of years ago. You've launched the documentary now. What's the plan?
The plan is to keep on pushing the book. The book is a bigger story here for me, because the book is meant to truly, truly immortalize him. Even after I'm gone, the book should remain. That's one of the things. So the idea is to find ways, and one of the ideas that Maureen has given of doing something else in terms of production will still give the book life, because the documentary gives the book life as well. So I need to think of more things, but for me the journey is not over.
The book is very well written. I'm a big fan of biographies and political biographies. Quite often between somewhere along, between the books and the documentaries or the movies, the pictures, a lot gets lost. So you've made it. I think it does justice to the book. So that's my observation. Yeah, I mean, after having engaged with, having produced this and having written the book, what would you say was his biggest regrets?
Those who've read the book will realize that he never completed the book. And there's lots of stuff that he shared with a certain journalist before he passed on, which I think would have answered a lot of your questions, because there's a lot of things in the 90s and the 2000s, the early noughties, that are not shared in the book. I had to give an epilogue to the book, so I wouldn't be able to speak for him. So I really don't know what his regrets would be.
I went to Maseno for the year 86 and I left in 1989. During that time, Mzee was a board of governor member. And so as he says, most times he would come to school, we used to see him, and his oratory skills were off the roof, so to say. He would make us laugh, but at the same time, he imparted a lot of knowledge to us. He was that father figure we liked seeing. Every time we'd see his car coming to the school, we knew things are good. We're about to eat big, because he never left without saying, give the boys a boon or give the boys something. And so when you mentioned that issue of dad asking 7 times 7 is what?
Yes.
Goosebumps came up, because I remember in school he would do that to us. He would be walking in the compound and he would just meet someone and he would have a chat with you, and then he would say, what is 7 by 7? And so that, you brought back some memories to me that are very, very dear. I'm very lucky to have experienced Mzee. And what you've done here is quite something that people really need to emulate. People need to read this book. And otherwise, Maseno, yes, your dad was in Maseno. And Oginga Odinga himself was in Maseno. And there's still so many stories that have not been told about these guys there. So maybe another day that will be told. They did stuff. They did stuff.
I'm Elizabeth, Bob's elder sister. Yes, this is a very special moment for me. I must say, it's a moment filled with deep emotion, reflection, and gratitude. Yeah. I'm very humbled to be able to see my father's story told with such honor, and I want to thank you, Bob, for making sure that Daddy's story has been told, that it's out there. Because as a child growing up, I would see him writing. The manuscript took years, and yeah, it's true. He went Dala a lot, home, sat a lot under a big tree, and was constantly writing or dictating, a secretary typing. I'm so honored that this story is out. And I'm grateful to God also for this moment, really, that we can actually honor my father's life. I stand here a proud daughter of my father, whose life was filled with, as we've seen, a lot of dedication, hard work, and deep love. That wasn't seen in the documentary. Maybe it was seen in his works, but we experience him as a loving father. Yeah, a hard worker, and that he instilled in us, and a man of deep love. We felt so loved. So I'm so touched and honored. And one thing I know, I would never, as much as I'll never reach the heights he did, I strive, I do my best to walk in his footsteps. Just take the good we've seen from his life, and in our various fields, emulate them, yeah? And as we mentor others, we instill these values we've seen. I'm truly grateful, and thank you once again, Bob.
Yeah, thanks.
It makes me really proud, as much as it's very emotional. And I want to thank you also just for coming to honor our father.
And thanks for coming, Betty.